Let's talk about it tonight. Mental health and wellness is our vibe. Baby, trust me, it's gonna be alright. Grab a tea and come chat with me. The Chocolate Chat with Meka.
Hey, what's up, everybody? How are y'all doing today?
Good.
Great. How are you?
I'm terrible, and y'all know why. I'm sweating like a Hebrew slave over here, hot and sick. But you know what? For the love of the Chocolate Chat with Meka family, I'm pushing through. How y'all week's been going so far?
Busy.
Busy?
Busy.
Yeah. Everybody busy but me. I've been in my bed at Bedside Baptist Community Church, laying in the bed since Sunday.
Oh man.
But anyway, I appreciate you guys joining us. Today is going to be, I believe, a tearjerker for some of us. I'm already emotional just talking about it. We're going to be discussing domestic violence and our youth and how we can prevent these young ladies from going through all of this drama in their future. You know, some of us are conditioned early from seeing our parents, and our parents go through things, so we think that's the norm. So we're going to encourage these young ladies and older ones who don't really want to talk about it, what they can do. And that's how I have my beautiful co-host here. We got Mimi over here as a guest host, and my beautiful friend Miss Kalina Huggins of the Rebirth of You. What's going on?
Hey.
So what I want to do is tell you real quick what the vision of the Chocolate Chat with Meka is before we get started. We choose to advocate mental health, wellness, and healing. And the Chocolate Chat with Meka is a safe space to uplift each other and our chocolate community. Hercules. I love it. So, Miss Kalina, I wanted to quickly have you introduce yourself and tell us about what you do. Why did you choose to make domestic violence something you want to discuss and something you advocate?
Okay, my name is Kalina Huggins. I am the founder and the CEO of the Rebirth of You domestic violence support group. The reason I chose domestic violence as my platform, I'm a 7-year survivor of domestic violence. I didn't grow up seeing domestic violence, but I experienced it myself. And there aren't many supports for male and women when it comes to domestic violence. Here in our city now, you know, we have Willow. I feel like, in my personal opinion, is not really, they don't cater enough to Black women. They're more for the Caucasian community. They don't understand our struggles and the reasons we stay or the reason we might have to revert back.
Right.
And so what would be the difference? Like so explain to me when you say they cater to Caucasians.
I don't want to sound biased, but we all know most of our Black women, we come from poor, impoverished backgrounds or barely making it paycheck to paycheck backgrounds, where some of these white women that go to Willow, they have trust funds, daddies might be sitting on the board, or there's no stigma around white women. But for melanin women, there's a stigma around the reason we're coming. White women don't face the stigmas we face when we go to seek help. And that's why statistics show more minority women don't get help. More minority women don't call the police, because there's a stigma when the police come out to look at a domestic dispute. They have a stigma. They get in the car and get back and they'll be laughing. They'll be back together tonight. And that's their thought process when they come out to assess the situation.
So is that one of the stigmas that she will eventually get back with him? And that's why they don't take it serious?
That's definitely one of the stigmas. And that's
so they don't. Oh, I'm sorry. So I was going to say, so since that stigma is there, they don't feel the need to offer certain services or, you know, be as helpful and understanding.
Yes.
And a long list of things. Okay.
Yeah. Now this is me. You've seen the movies. You've seen even instances on TV. They run to a white woman's rescue. Most of the time when our domestic situations happen, they end up in serious injury or death. We're seeing it now in the media. Most our Black women are dying in huge numbers because their boyfriends are going back to kill them and their kids.
I know a case of that. I actually know a lady who had 6 children, and this young man was dating my daughter at the time. We found out that his mom was in an abusive relationship with her, with a man, and he did not want to let her go. He didn't want to break up. So he came back and burned the house down with her and the kids in it. She ended up dying, and the kids all got saved, thank God. But I think she was staying in and trying to make sure her kids got out, you know, of their bedrooms. But she ended up passing away because this man would not let her go. And that's something I have to equate with definitely mental health issues. If you are in love with somebody so much that you feel you gotta kill them in order to let, or you know, or you won't want them to be with anybody else that bad, you need.
That's where that saying comes.
Checked.
Yeah, that's where that saying comes in. When a man or a woman say, "If I can't have you, nobody else can," please believe them and please run far and far away.
That is so terrible.
When people say that, some of them truly do mean it.
Right, but you know what? Sometimes it comes across as though it's supposed to be sexy. You know what I mean?
Okay,
Right.
I get where you're going with that, Steve. It now in our community, stuff that is portrayed to be cute. That's the thing. Oh, this man saying.
And so I wonder if that's a stigma as well.
Yes. Yeah. Because you know, I'm a woman. I might tell if I was a girl, he said he loved me and can't nobody else have me. When you didn't know any better, you thought that was cute. That's not cute.
Right. Right.
But that's what our young ladies are going through right now.
Yeah.
Being a foster parent, I wanted to share that I used to always only keep young women who are between maybe 12 to up to 20. A lot of them, I say maybe 80% of them that were in a relationship were dealing with a young man who was controlling, who wanted them to move out of my house so they could get them alone and move in with them and they could control their finances. And then when they did move out, let me tell you what they did. They terrified them and terrorized them, breaking their windows in a brand new apartment that they know they just moved into, trying to get them evicted. 2 times I've had that happen. Kicked in doors. Now we're talking about 18-year-old boys doing this to women. What in the hell is going on in their minds to make them think that that's okay to get this young lady evicted? What is that solving?
And that's why I mentioned to you earlier that I even thought that it would be a good idea to actually have a guy or maybe another episode where he is the abuser and to get his perspective. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times these guys don't even think they're doing nothing wrong.
Yeah, or it's programmed. They're programmed that way because they seen daddy be macho man or be chauvinistic. So, you know, in the black community, Hispanic communities, the man got to be tough. He got to be, and the only way most of our men know, and it actually, as I've been doing research, it goes back to slavery. Only way our men know to defend themselves is to be macho man, be strong, and demand respect. Because, you know, black men don't get any respect.
So that's their way. So it sounds like because they're interrogating the women and abusing them, that's their way of crying out that they're trying to demand respect by abusing her.
Maybe because they're not getting it at work or out with their boys or whatever.
Or maybe, right. I mean, I've never heard that before, but it makes sense.
For some men, it roots back to mommy issues, abandonment issues, or they seen their mom get abused. Statistics show 50% of children that see abuse, a lot of them either become abusers or victims because they think it's normal.
Wow, that's a big number.
And when I was in my first abusive relationship, I was in shock, but I really did think it was normal because I used to see my mother in abusive relationships with her husband or her boyfriend. So the fact that he choked me, I was like, okay, I must have done something to, it must have been my fault, so I automatically blame myself. But the fact that I saw my mother go through those things, it was normal to me. I thought this is the way relationships went. I thought this was a part of the whole process. So, and
most women do feel that way. See, in my case, I didn't grow up around it. So when it happened to me, it was like a shock to my system. And I was always that person as a young woman, a teenager. I'm not, because as Tamika said, I had friends that used to get knocked around, pushed around, controlled. This is in middle school, going into high school. I was like, oh, that'll never be me. And it became me.
You know what I used to call them and say when I was younger, before I had experienced that? I used to call them battered. I'm a battered B. I would say battered B word. I will never be a battered B word because I'm too strong for that. Nobody even tried me. I will kill them. I was all that. Ended up in 2 consecutive relationships where people were putting their hands on me, fighting me, choking me, waking me up out of my sleep, calling me all types of black whores and just craziness. I believe when they were doing that, they were under some type of substance abuse, like pills or alcohol or whatever the case may be. But imagine waking up out of your sleep and being choked because you just sleeping. You look too peaceful.
Right.
Or that particular.
Well, I wouldn't even. I mean, maybe because I'm not a violent person, but that to me that's like an easy way out to kind of blame drugs or alcohol and stuff like that. Like, because if you really love this girl, especially if you like her, I'm Nigerian, so we look at like different than love. If you really like her, if you like spending time with her, if you like investing in her, sacrificing for her, you know what I'm saying, then no matter how drunk you are or how high you get, you wouldn't even think in your head to wake her, that, like you just said. So that's the easy way out to use.
Can I tell you something?
For them, that's the easy way out.
Both of these people were obsessed with me. They kept saying, "You're too good to be true. Something got to be going on with you." They were, their mom, even both of their mothers told me, "Meka, they've never had a woman as good as you. They don't know what to do with you. They are obsessed with you." One will watch me as I walk to the corner store, stand outside and look and make sure I came back in the house. He would guard the door to make sure I got home. One threatened to tint his windows because he said, "Dudes be looking in the window at you, so I'm gonna have to tint these windows." It got that serious. I had a miscarriage because I was punched in the stomach by a man who claimed he loved me. I had to literally pack up my house and leave. And my family came and helped me. They told me I would know when enough was enough. And they helped me pack up all my belongings and get my stuff going. But I still was terrorized at my job. I was terrorized at my mom's house when I moved in with her. My tires were slashed. I was stalked to the point where my blood pressure was so high they wanted to admit me in the hospital. Migraines because I just was having bad and high blood pressure and stuff. This stuff is serious. These people get so obsessed with the fact that they would rather kill you than lose you. And in their mind, their definition of love is keeping you and making sure you're on lockdown with them. So their definition of love is twisted and it's not the same as yours because you're an honorable man and you know better. These people don't. They think that everything they're doing is okay and this is how you're supposed to treat.
And I can attest with Meka on that because I can share a little bit of my story. My abuser is my 8-year-old daughter. It's her father. We can't have a conversation. He has to be blocked because he feels like yelling and screaming at me. It takes me, and I've shared this in the group, it takes me back to a place. Having a conversation with him sometimes takes you back to a place where I get like a kid. I get fragile. I get real anxiety. I have migraines. So I completely don't have a conversation with him because his way of controlling me is through my child. So I know what she's saying, and I say this and I stand on it. Once an abuser, always abuser. You may not abuse the person you're with at this moment, but it's gonna come out in some shape, form, or fashion. And it might not be what I got. That other person might get the verbal abuse or the psychological abuse.
Yep.
And Meka's right. Drugs, like Steven is right. Drugs and alcohol shouldn't play a part in how you treat a woman. But for abusers, it's almost like kryptonite for them.
It heightens their abuse.
It heightens their adrenaline. Yep. And depending on their drug of choice, it takes them, they get psychotic.
Yeah, so it pretty much just heightens the spirit that they already have in them.
Exactly. Marie, what was your story? What happened with you?
Well, my first abusive relationship started with my first husband. We definitely didn't know each other very well, but in the beginning, he started showing signs of abuse, with the jealousy and having a problem with what I wore. Mind you, I'm covered up like crazy. But the fact that other men would look at me, he didn't know how to handle that. And So he went on to abuse me, and it was mostly verbal, emotional, and then it started to get more physical, believe it or not, when I was pregnant with my youngest son. So bad that I did not have a connection with my child during my whole pregnancy. He stomped me in the face. He almost choked me to death. Like, he actually fought me in front of the whole neighborhood while I was pregnant. Yes. And it was like the most terrible thing ever, because I know I'm no angel, but I'm not a bad person. I'm a good person for the most part. I was a good wife, and I did not understand for the life of me why he did that to me, especially when I was pregnant with our son. I considered giving my son up for adoption. I felt like I could not be a mother to him because of everything that his dad took me through. And, an angel here on earth, which is a good friend of his, believe it or not, talked me out of that. And, like I told you earlier, I didn't really start getting over that until last year when my sister died. And he was the one that kind of helped me through that. Like, he was checking on me, and, which is odd, like, out of all people to be there during this difficult time for me, he was there. And I was just like, okay, God, what in the world is going on here? So, I still have those moments where it hurts. It took me to a lot of places that I didn't expect to be, but I mean,
speaking of that, terrible. Marie, sorry to cut you off. I ended up in jail from defending myself from a moment with my ex-husband. He karate chopped him. He hi-ya. He literally said hi-ya when he was kicking my... He kicked his foot through my glass oven. Did the whole ninja move. Hi-ya. And I had just got through paying it off. When you trying to start over, remember, I had told you I had to start over and move out and start from scratch. And Marie was there because she was helping me. I started from scratch to go right into another abusive relationship with someone who actually I grew up with. So I thought he would never treat me that way. He was acting like he was the savior at first. Whole time he was worse than the one I was just with.
He was a narcissist. He preyed on your past hurt. And there is men out here that know you, and you I'm the type of person, I'm like Meka, I'm very transparent. So when I start talking to somebody, I'll be straight with them, like, off the back, like, look, bro, I've been through some stuff and I explain XYZ what I've been through. So these are the things you don't want to do. And I have found myself dealing with a person that when the red flags came, I had to be like, yo, bro, you gotta go. Because people will prey on those emotions because they know you're fragile, they know you're vulnerable, they know you're weak. So some men like to date women like that and finish. I hate to say, they finish tearing them down, and they don't have to be abusing them in any kind of way. But it's certain things a person can do to tear you down, and a person don't even realize it.
That's what we were just talking about not that long ago. Relationship PTSD. The things that I shared with y'all that happened to me is why I cannot, I think, to this day have successful relationships, because my trust is negative. Like, I don't.
But Meka, you will have a successful relationship.
It's hard.
I'm gonna tell you,
anything they
hard.
do, if they breathe 3 times on a Friday, I'll be like,
But I got to the place where I can share this. And it's funny. I was on Zoom. This is like when we had the little COVID outbreak a couple months ago. I had told God, I was like, God, I don't want to get married. I was like, I think I want to be by myself after you experience abuse, and then to get in relationship after relationship and it don't work. You be like, ugh,
it's me. It gotta be me. I remember telling Marie that.
And I had moments where I thought it was me. And my apostle told me, she was like, Kalina, that thought you thinking in your head, it's never you. She was like, and because I have my group, she was like, I want you to know, it's not you. It's not none of the women in your group. It's never the woman. It's never the woman. So Meka, don't say you'll never date. You just have your healing process it's just taking a little bit longer than others, and it's a good thing, because then you'll know when you do get that one, you ain't gonna be worried about if he coughed 3 times on Friday. It's
for real. For real.
Yeah. Yeah,
That
I
is
think
so
one
true.
thing.
Better not. He better cough on Monday. Shoot.
I think one thing to be aware of, because you mentioned your foster children and these young girls that are going through these violent situations with their boyfriends, and I think that it's very important to understand trauma bonding.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's trauma bonding that can occur, and you bond with anyone energetically when you share your life with them. You know, you share your life with them, you share your experiences, you know, you share your body through sex, you know, like you said, you're sharing children. And so it's very difficult to break those bonds. And what happens in the beginning is, if you have internal wounds that haven't been healed or haven't been dealt with, those internal wounds will bond with other people that are also wounded, that are also toxic, that are also abusive. Exactly. It's like an energy kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so going back to what Mari was saying about just seeing her mom go through abusive relationships, and that was a good example. You didn't even see that, but it's very important to understand your blueprint, and your blueprint is what is modeled to you when you're a child. So if you're not aware of your blueprint, then you won't even recognize that you've built up a tolerance for abuse. It could not. It doesn't even have to be physical abuse. It could be emotional. It could be narcissistic. You could have had a father that maybe always like talked about your mom, or called her fat, or called her names and stuff like that. But your mom really didn't. She took it with a grain of salt. So now you have that same mentality, thinking that you're just strong-minded, but he's really like abusing you emotionally. But you build up that tolerance, and you have to understand what it looks like when you're in it. Like she said, there are what did you call it when you said when the police come? Oh,
The
stigmas. Stigmas. There's stigmas. There's signs, and there's symptoms. And so for these young girls that are in these relationships, some of the symptoms of being in an abusive relationship is feeling stuck. Knowing logically that you're not supposed to be in this relationship, knowing that this doesn't make sense. You told yourself over and over again, this will never happen to you, but for some reason you still feel sick, you still feel stuck. That's one of the symptoms. Another symptom is when family and friends start to see you different. They start to see that your behavior is different. They start to see that you're starting to lose your shine. You start to lose that light that's inside of you. And you may hear little things like, girl, what's wrong with you? Like, you deserve better than that. You know, why are you with him? And stuff like that. And what happens is you believe that this person is a good person because this person has shown you glimpses of being an amazing person. I heard one of you say, like, one of your guys were with you when you lost a loved one. Correct? Hello?
No, she was saying that while she was grieving a friend of hers that wasn't abusing her or anything, he just was a friend that came out of the cut and was encouraging her through her grief and her loss at that moment in time.
Oh, okay. I thought that, but yeah, that's normally what happens. Like, a person will show you their amazing side, and so you always have that in them. And so, trauma and abuse, it slowly happens. It's not like sexual abuse. It slowly happens. Like she said, it starts with, you know, maybe calling you names, and then maybe cursing at you, and then maybe a slap, or, you know, whatever. But it's
testing their boundaries.
It's over an extended amount of time. You know what I mean? So in your head, you're just hoping to see that good man that he's shown you before. You're hoping for the future to be better. You know what I mean? And so, like Maya Angelou said, if someone shows you who they are,
believe them.
Believe them.
So let me tell you about me. My culture was church. Church teaches and preaches loyalty. It teaches and preaches marriage. Once you with somebody, you're supposed to commit to them through bad and good. So death do us part.
Yeah.
It stayed in my mind while I was going through this, I said, well, maybe I could change him. Maybe he'll see the good in me. He'll see that I'm not cheating on him like he keeps saying I am. And it never changes. My mom always say, he hit you once, he'll hit you twice. And I was like, what does that even mean? But I know now that means if he showed you who he was and you didn't believe him that first time, Steve, like you were saying, he's gonna hit you again. As a matter of fact, you were talking about sexual abuse and assault within domestic relationships. This song by Eve called Love is Blind, it is basically discussing that. It's lyrics say, hey, yo, I don't even know you when I hate you. See, all I know is that my girlfriend used to date you. How would you feel if she held you down and raped you? Tried and tried, but she never could escape you. She was in love and I asked her how. I mean, why? What kind of love from a would black your eye? What kind of love from a every night make you cry? What kind of love from a make you wish he would die? I mean, he bought you things and he gave you diamond rings, but them things wasn't worth none of the pain that he brings. And you stayed. What made you fall for him? That had the power to make you crawl for him. I thought you was a doctor. Be on call for him. Woo, child. Smacked you down because he said you was too tall for him. That wasn't love, baby girl. You was dreaming. I could have killed you when you said your seed was growing from his semen. Love is blind and it'll take over your mind. What you think is love is truly not. You need to elevate and find.
Right. And that's from like 96.
Yeah, but that I can say for Black women, it's minority women, domestic violence has been happening in our households for ages. Generations. And sometimes I know a person that says she's a generational, how does she put it? Her grandmother was abused and her mom was abused.
It's a generational curse.
It's a generational curse. So she knew nothing but abuse. So I always refer back to that song. Sometimes I be like, wow, when you really listen to Eve's lyrics, it's really deep. Because that is and the way she portrayed the video was like perfect. I don't know who the mastermind was behind it, but they portrayed the lyrics for the song in the video because it's a lot of young girls, they get with these men and like Steve said, they feel trapped. And a lot of times they do end up getting trapped because they end up getting pregnant through all this abuse. And then when they get pregnant, they really don't want to leave. Oh, I want to start a family. And I can tell you, I can attest. I was already a single mother of one. I had my son when I was young. So when I had my daughter, I said, okay, God, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just raise a 2-parent family. I was like, even if I don't get married, I wanted my daughter to grow up in a 2-parent household because I was already a single mother of one.
Church stuff.
The church stuff. I was already the single mother of one. Me trying to stay in co-parent, it just wasn't the abuse. It was not healthy. Literally, my baby was only 6 months. 6 months. And I experienced abuse. I even experienced abuse when I was pregnant. When I first got pregnant in the midst of, and that I didn't even realize it was an abuse because I've never seen it.
Me either. Can't say I was raised that way. My mom and dad did not fight or argue or any of that, especially getting physical. That was all brand new to me. I was so amazed at how he could hit me. What did I do? And now you would think, God, geez, like I'm not this person. But the more you try to get away, the more they'll cry and I'm so sorry and I'll never do it again and I'll kill myself. This is what I heard. I will kill myself.
I think Janet Jackson said it best in the movie For Colored Girls. She said, you done said too many sorries. Leave your sorries at the door. And that's how it is in domestic violence relationship. It's a constant I'm sorry. Or you have the ones that's narcissistic. They'll hit you and probably black your eye and then sleep next to you all night and wake up in the morning.
Want to cuddle.
Want to cuddle for breakfast.
After they didn't choke you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Woo, been there, done that. I think that this may have to be a second, maybe a 2-part if y'all want to get back together and do this again, because this is so much. I got some information that I wanted to share quickly with you because we're running out of time. But I did look up where young women can go. They helped me personally. They helped me get an apartment when I was trying to run away from this man so he wouldn't know where I lived. It's the YWCA, and they extended so many resources to me and my children. And I was just talking about, I think the lyrics to that song, thinking of the perspective that it came from was the protector, somebody who wanted to get them out of that situation from the outside looking in, and they felt helpless. And imagine if your children are the ones who trying to get him off of you. Imagine if he's dragging you in front of your kids, fighting you in front of your kids, the utmost disrespect. So as young ladies, we need to know where we can go. And I looked it up for Rochester, New York. The information is that it's through the YWCA, and it is on Clinton Avenue downtown in Rochester, New York. And they are available to give you some shelter, some food, a place to stay for a couple days, resources to get you an apartment. That address is 175 North Clinton Avenue, Rochester, New York, 14604. There are a couple other places that maybe Kalina mentioned, like Willow, but I think the minorities are catered more.
At the YW, I agree. Yeah. YWCA really caters more to minorities because they're more Christian. They're in YWCA, whether people know it or not. They're affiliated with the YMCA. They're Christian based too, so they don't look at color. They don't look at your race. They don't look at none of that. I can't say a lot of women I know that went through the YWCA have been more successful.
We're gonna definitely set up a time with all of our schedules that.
How much time do we have left?
About 4 minutes and some change. So before we go, I want to make sure I give you guys the information to reach Miss Kalina. If you have an issue with domestic violence, what's your phone number, your website? How can they find you?
I don't have a phone number right now. They can reach me on my page. They can add themselves to the Rebirth of You domestic violence support group, or I have an email address that only I check, which is the Rebirth of You 2020@gmail.com. You can find me on Facebook, Kalina Huggins. I have an open inbox. Meka tell you I'm always sharing, I'm always promoting, I'm always doing lives. I'm not only about domestic violence is my true passion, but women empowerment, helping women rise above mental health issues and domestic violence. Like mental health, and I tell people mental health and domestic violence, they go hand in hand, because I can say from what I experienced, I developed depression. I didn't know what depression was till after I got a domestic violence. I didn't know what anxiety was.
I had my first anxiety attack while I was with my abuser. I didn't know what was going on. I felt like I was having a heart attack. Couldn't breathe. I was just like, don't touch me, leave me alone. And I didn't know what was going on. It happened with him because he was stressing me out so bad, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who to call. I didn't want my family to know, because I thought they were gonna come over there and kick his behind. So in the back of your mind, you're still trying to protect them, even though you're being abused. And that's a whole different topic. Maybe we can get into that a little more. And before we go,
before we go, I wanted to ask Jamari, if you can just share maybe.
Marie?
Oh, I'm sorry, Marie. I said Jamari. Mimi. I'm going to stick with
like,
Mimi.
who is that?
Because I see the J. What's the J for? I see J Murray. I'm sorry. I was going to ask you to just give some advice on how to get out of that situation. Like, what's one of the first steps that you took to get out of your situation?
He almost killed me, and that was the last straw. Honestly, the best thing you could do is just have a good support system, and don't lose contact with that support system, because when you're in an abusive situation, you cut everybody off because it's shame. It's shameful, and that's what I did. I didn't want my family to know, but it is important to have a good, support system, and to, use your resources for sure. Use your resources. That's pretty much what I did.
Even look up shelters near me, mental health clinics near me. There's about to be a new clinic opening up for young women and men who are between, I think, the ages of, up to 18 now. They're about to open it up next year through URMC, which is strong in Rochester, New York. You can go in and walk in now and get some mental health help, because obviously you got some things going on that makes you feel like you deserve that, and you need to talk to somebody and get some help, or even reach out to Kalina, or even me, or whoever you can get in touch with. If you need to reach me at email, if you have some questions or concerns or show ideas, you can email me at thechocolatechat@gmail.com, or call us at 585-397-7247. We're on YouTube under The Chocolate Chat with Meka, Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. Just look us up, The Chocolate Chat with Meka, and find us. And if you want to contact Kalina, like I said, she gave you her information. Don't be scared. Don't be embarrassed. It has happened to a lot of women, and that's what we think, that it only happened to us. It has,
and it happens to men too.
Oh,
and,
yes.
I also want to say, I just want to leave what I was saying, don't get discouraged. You know what I'm saying? Because it is very difficult. So don't get discouraged if you slip up. You know, if you slip up and you call them, or if you slip up, you know, one time and you go over there, whatever. Like, don't just be so down on yourself. Like, just know you gotta take it in small moments, small steps. And like Mimi said, continue to stay in contact with your support group, whether those are your
cut off,
family.
But I just want you to know, I'm so sorry. Like I said, we'll connect again. Don't forget to grab your tea and come chat with me, the chocolate chat with Meka. I love you.